Hello and welcome to the Two Red Robins workshop for seasonal finishing touches, the SVG USB. And on this workshop, I'm going to show you a welding technique to create a really unique card blank, layer that up with some of the reflections to create a really beautiful card design. Let's get started. We've plugged our USB into the side of the scan and cut machine and we're going to click on Retrieve Data. We're going to go straight into the USB and we're going to find the shape we want to work with. We're working with the SVG files, and for this we are going to be using the beautiful little Yuletide blossom. Here we go. We're going to be working with the matte cuts on this because what we want to do is create that card base. We want to create a frame into which our reflection designs can fit. We're going to work with the original matte layers for this one, so let's call them up onto the screen. And you'll see we've got two different sizes here. We've got the large and we've got the smaller here as well. So let's click OK. And now let's just move them out of that top corner just because we want that space into which we can pop another element. Now we want to create almost like a wreath style card design. So let's go ahead and add a circle to this mat as well. So we're going to click on Add. And this time around we're going to work from the patterns on the machine itself. And we just want a basic shape of a circle. So let's scroll down on the arrow keys to the side of the screen until we find a circle and set that down onto our mat. That's why we've moved the little designs away, because anything you drop down will drop down into that top corner of the design. Now, if we just move this to the center and move these little elements around, you see it's a little bit small. We want something a little bit more chunky to work as a center for the card design. So let's go ahead and edit and object edit that for a bigger size. So let's take it up just using the arrow keys on the side of the machine. I think just slightly because I think we want these kind of to meet in the middle. So let's just keep offering those matte layers up and checking. Now I've changed the size accidentally of that element there. I didn't want to, I wanted to change the size of the circle. So instead of okaying anything, if I click out of that element, you see we haven't saved that. It's snapped back into the original size. So if you do go wrong at any point, you do have that option to correct anything. Let's click on the right element that we want to resize here and just increase the size of that circle. I'm going to utilize the drag and drop just until we find the right sort of size for this circle and make sure we're clicking back on that circle to enlarge the size of it. So I think around about 150 will be fine for this demonstration. I'm going to click OK. That then saves that size change on the circle itself. So here we have got the Yuletide blossom in different orientations, but I would like the larger size element to sit along this top edge of the machine and of the circle. And to do that, what we need to do is just rotate that through 180 degrees. So I'm clicking that 90 twice, and now it will sit along the top edge of that circle quite nicely. We could have it facing in opposite directions depending on which way you want the flowers, which way you want the leaves. It's up to you. But we want to then replicate that. So if we click OK, whilst this element is still selected, and add another one of those to the mat, this will then form the other side. However, if I just went ahead and rotated this through, it wouldn't be a mirror image. You'd have these little elements of the leaves up here and this pointy bit down here. What I like is for the pointy bits to match and the leaves to be along the bottom. So we want to flip that just like so, and then have them coming around the circle just like so. We want to then repeat that process with the smaller element as well. So first off, let's rotate that through. So it will now sit along the bottom of the design here. And once we click OK, add another one to the mat and OK. And once again, mirror that. So it will sit alongside the design like so. Now, if we want to, what we could do is just decrease the size of the circle a little bit, just so we are then having all these elements overlapping. So it just takes a little bit of adjustment at this stage. We're going to use the arrow keys to come down to that circle, object edit it, and change that size down just a little bit. Let's try 140 and see whether our little elements will then match in. Let's drag and drop that across ever so slightly. Click on the other one and drag and drop that across as well. Now the really key thing here is if you want these elements to align at the top and you want them to be equal around the circle, you can choose to select an area of the mat, bring those arrows up just so it's including the two elements here, click OK and OK, and we can object edit to align these to sit at the same level. So we want to align them along the top. That's nudge that little piece up beautifully, and we could try clicking the middle. That's it. Now it's aligned them along the middle profile there as well. I'm going to click OK and OK. Object edit and then just select another area of the mat. We only want these two little bits. It might be that I have to uncheck those ones. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, I don't want to collect all those. So let's select nothing on the mat and just adjust that through again. So here, pulling those arrows down just until we can select those two smaller pieces and OK, and align those once again centrally, and this time along the bottom of the design as well. OK and OK. Now the whole piece is going to work beautifully together. If you wanted to, you could nudge these up a little bit. Let's go ahead and do that with the move tools. They're both still adjusted. And then we're going to just make sure all of those are then encompassing that circle all the way round. We've got a little bit of the circle at the bottom, but that circle works as a really handy guide to allow us to line everything up. Now, if I was to go ahead and just cut this as is, the machine at the moment thinks we need to cut that circle, then also cut the detailings, cut matte layers, cut all the little bits. So you'll end up with a whole mess of cut going on. What we need to do, if we want this as a card base, is choose everything on the mat, like so, and tell the machine to weld them together. This will give us our unique shape into which we can add in our designs. If we click OK and OK and OK, we then go ahead and cut that piece out, maybe out of a pattern paper, maybe out of something like a scenic design, just as you have here, but that's then going to give you your base into which your reflection artwork is going to nestle perfectly. You have the little piece down here, and then the two larger wreaths, if you like, from that Yuletide design. Oh my goodness, it's a bit of a tongue twister, isn't it? Yuletide blossom along the top. So that's creating that unique card base for you. This background is from one of our previous Christmas collections available on highlightcrafts.com. Now, that's lovely if you just want to create a picture, but maybe you want to create something which is eventually going to be a card design. And again, we can show you how to build in mats and layers using this new unique shape that we've welded together. We're going to go back to Edit, and we're going to choose to Object Edit and use this little tool, which is your offset line. We are working on an SDX machine. If you are following this and using a CM model, you will need to do your offset line in Canvas, and Mel has uploaded a really fab tutorial to our YouTube channel to allow you to follow that process for your CM model machines. For your SDX, we click on the offset line, and this will allow you to create a beautiful matte layer for this design. When we are utilising this function, we can just simply click the plus symbol next to the number to increase the matte layer. You can work up by increments of millimetres, and that will allow you to be really precise with the layers of your matte layer. So once you're happy with the layers and how many you've added, you click OK, and it will bring you back to that pattern and that layer. Once your offset line has processed, it will drop down the details onto your working mat. The object selected will be that original file you made. So what you want to do is click OK, and then make sure, I always tend to drag that layer away just so I'm making sure it is the smaller one, and then click the bin, click OK, and then you would go ahead and cut this piece out of whatever matte layer you'd like. So for this example, we're using a lovely mirror shine design for this layer, which of course, being an offset line, means it will fit snugly around the previous layer. For your card blank, you want to go ahead and repeat that process, creating that offset line, choosing the millimeters or the inches increments that you want the size to be, and then cut that one twice, once for the front of the card and once for the back, and that will give you your design like so. We've gone ahead and scored it at the top and added red liner tape, so when we join the card together, it will sit like so. We can then introduce those matte layers as well. So the gold one, followed by the scenic one, that original one that we built by welding, and they fit snugly in the layers together. From that point, you would decorate with those files for the reflections that you have built. So here we've got that Yuletide blossom, that fits in along the top like so. We then have that reverse element fitting in along the other side like so. If you need a little hand with how to cut the reflections or indeed the reverse reflections, we will pop a link in the video to a link in the description to a video made by Mel. Really great little video, takes you through all the steps in how to cut these elements out. Same thing along the bottom, we just want to go in and layer those. The smaller ones, again, the reverse reflection there as well. Just nestled those into the design, and then you can go to town. You can add in whichever cuts you want, maybe some of the poinsettias over the edges like so, and perhaps you may want to finish with a little bow. Add your decoupage layers, build that design up, maybe even add a little bit of glitter. It is a festive card after all, and once you've stuck and glued everything down, you're going to have a card that looks a little bit like this. Isn't it fantastic? Creating your very own bespoke and unique card bases using that weld function, and of course utilising the matte layers included on the seasonal finishes touches USB. Thank you for joining me for today's workshop, and we will see you very, very soon. If you would like to see more from Highlight Crafts, make sure you click the like button. Subscribe by clicking the subscribe button below, and click the bell icon to receive notifications on all our future content. You can also click here to see our latest video, or click here to see more videos like this one.